guys, it's Sam, and in honor of Black History Month, today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite Black authors. This video was a topic that was voted on by my Patreon supporters, so every month my supporters over there get to vote in a video topic that I will do either here or on my other channel, so if you're interested in contributing to my content in that way, along with a bunch of other perks, I will link my Patreon on the screen. So these are in no particular order. I mean, I guess the first one mentioned is probably like my favorite, but these are all authors that I've read multiple books of theirs. I have enjoyed multiple books of theirs. These are not obviously the only Black authors that I have read, but these are the ones that have like stood out to me over the years. The first one, and probably my favorite, surprising no one, is N.K. Jemisin. I have read all of N.K. Jemisin's backlist besides the Cities duology, which I did pick up but DNF'd. I talked about that recently. I started trying to read that in January and just didn't resonate for me. But all of her epic fantasy, amazing. I did start with the Broken Earth trilogy and worked my way back. That was still enjoyable, but would I do it again? I would probably do it again. I do think the Broken Earth trilogy is her best thus far. And then I like Dreamblood, and then I like the Inheritance trilogy, but all of it is good. What I like about what she does is a interweaving of usually like religion, usually some kind of like own world religion going on. The religions especially, I mean, all of these, like the gods in the Inheritance trilogy, the whole concept of them, really cool. There's a lot of like dream magic and things in this book. Also, these two series both do time jumps pretty well. Like there's 10 plus years between each book. In this one, I think there's about 10 years in this one, and it turns from like oppressed to oppressor type situation, or like kind of war stuff is happening. So what she explores there is really cool. A lot of just themes of oppression in general. Broken Earth is post-apocalyptic, and I mean, you guys probably already know, but a lot of, again, like oppressor stuff and like breaking free of that, and the journey that the main character in this series in particular goes on. Just kiss. This one, it all follows different characters, companion kind of things. Dreamblood, I think, has some different characters between the two books. It's been a while since I read that one, and this is all the same character. Which is probably why it's my favorite, because I do like a series in which we get to see a character evolve over time. But overall, N.K. Jemisin's writing continues to improve, and working my way back, it was really clear like how that was happening. So that was really fun when I was reading them. And yeah, I will continue to read anything epic fantasy-wise, or even sci-fi, that she puts out. Next is Ndia Core, and Ndia Core is an author that I've read a number of her works now, especially like her novellas and things, but Binti as a whole thing is my favorite of what I read by her, but I will continue to read what she puts out because I do think she's doing really interesting stuff. So I have read Akata Witch by her, and I do want to read the next books in the series, what, Akata Warrior, and then Akata, I forget what the like most recent one is is the most recent one out? I forget. But then I've read all the Binti series, and I've read Remote Control, and I have Noor on my holds list at the library for hopefully this month. But I like what she does. So she does this like, I think she writes mostly East African. I'm not remembering exactly if it's always that way. She uses African mythology and folklore and things and like culture and mixes that into typically sci-fi, although she also does fantasy, but Binti was sci-fi, Akata Witch is more fantasy, and is able to like make a lot of commentary that way. She also does a really interesting like slice of life thing in a lot of the books that I've read. Like Binti is kind of like a slice of life thing. It exists over like a number of years, but it still has that quality to it. And so did Remote Control, where you're just like seeing an aspect of this person's life in this usually like near future. This one's a little bit farther future, but typically speaking like near future reality. Also, what she's doing with Akata Witch is it started out with like the first book is very solidly middle grade, the second book is more YA, the third book will be more adult. I think that's very fun when authors do that, like grow with the series thing. But yeah, even though I don't always love and resonate with everything she writes, it's still intriguing to me like what she does. So I do enjoy her work. Next is Tracy Dion. So I loved Legendborn, and I didn't love Bloodmarked quite as much, but I do like what Tracy Dion is doing. I'd be interested to see what she would do outside of the YA space, but I do like what she's doing with YA. I do like what she is doing with this series as far as this like Arthurian legend and like redoing that a little bit and like making twists on something that is a very established world and lore and switching it up, and is one of those authors, especially in like YA spaces, that is taking stories that we might be familiar with and like adding blackness into them, and like, you know, and then therefore it's like sort of a new story because we've seen this done over and over again in the same way. So I really dig that, and just like the different things that she weaves in that don't necessarily always feel heavy-handed about like microaggressions and different things and like cultural differences, and what she does with root magic in particular in this series I think is really cool. So yeah, I mean, only 2 books and only 1 series from this one. A lot of the other ones are that way too, because they just haven't had enough books come out yet for me to have had read like 6 like I've read with the other ones, but this author is someone who I'm going to be keeping my eye on as far as what she's doing in the future, and yeah, I have very high expectations for her. Similar to Tracy Dion is Kalyn Bayron. So This Poison Heart series did a similar thing with sort of like what I was just saying about Arthurian legend. She does this more with Greek mythology, which is again something that we've seen over and over and over again with like typically white characters. This is a series of all black characters and is weaving in some of that Greek mythology with like different faces than we're used to seeing. I like book 1 slightly more because it's much more of like a mystery and a like sort of gothic situation, and then there's like nature magic. There's a ton of things that I really like in these books, but what she does too that I really appreciate is the community aspect of her books, especially with the young adult lens, because a lot of times you'll have like the absent adult with young adult stories so that the kids can actually do stuff. In her books, the adults are very present and very real and caring and like a part of it. So it's not just the kids like running off and doing everything, because that's kind of not realistic, right? So I really like what she does with like community and stuff. I don't think I'll go back and read the Cinderella books that she has, but if she puts out something else that is again up my alley, sort of like this nature magic-y type stuff, it doesn't need to be that, but that's why I picked this up originally. I will be keeping my eye on her as well. Next is P. Djeli Clark. So I have read his Master of Jinn and then also the short stories that came before this, and right now he's doing this kind of like steampunky Cairo turn of the 19th century kind of vibes, but he has other books, or at least has one more. I think Ring Shout is one that has to do with like the KKK and stuff that I also really want to read. I just like his style of like what he does with atmosphere, and then like a fast-paced, like this almost has like a police procedure without it really being police, because it's different and it's magic and it's whatever. But I really like the world in this. I really like his writing and the way like he keeps things moving while still fleshing things out, which I think is a hard line for authors to walk. So yeah, I want him to write more in this world. I know he has another book coming out that I think is a middle grade or like YA or something that he has announced, but he hasn't announced anything else in this world. And I would like him to continue in this world. And finally, completely different genre from everybody else, but it's Talia Hibbert. Talia Hibbert's very well known in the adult contemporary romance genre, but I've read all of the Brown sister books, which is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Take the Hint, Dani Brown, and what's the Eve Brown one? I don't remember the Eve Brown one. But I read all of those books and I really enjoyed them. Do I sometimes find her sex scenes a little bit over the top? Yes, but in quite a funny way. And I really like the couples that she writes. I really resonate with like the characters that she writes and just like really dig what she does. I do sort of want to go back and read some of her other, like I think she really started more so like self-published possibly, or even maybe just like more traditionally romance published in like you know, those were the Brown sisters books were more mainstream, I guess, and her other books I think are less so. But you guys know how I am with like really heavy erotica content. Not that it's just erotica, but like really heavy sex scenes. And I think some of her other stuff is more heavy sex scenes, so I might just stick to what she more like traditionally publishes. But I dig these. They're fun. Like I said, the characters are really great. The romances are really sweet. The sex scenes are, like, again, while over the top, fairly realistic. Like I definitely remember in Dani Brown, there was a scene where like they broke a table and it was like super awkward, right? So I appreciate when authors, especially romance authors, do that. So yeah, of the romance authors, like in general, she is like probably in my top 5. So yeah, those are some of my favorite Black authors. Comment down below, let me know some Black authors that you love. Thank you all for watching and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.